national and international non-governmental organizations have still failed to meet the criteria of good governance and transparency, while the much talked about Social Security scheme remains to be a far cry due to the persistent lack of cooperation by a majority of the employers across the country. Good morning, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha. Let's begin with the top stories of this hour. NGOs and INGOs ignoring basic criteria for good governance and transparency. Transactions of more than 90% of the NGOs and INGOs beyond the legal boundaries. Majority of the employers continue refusing cooperation in the implementation of Social Security scheme. Meager 1% of the companies comply with the government's provision. UN designates the leader of a militant group a terrorist who was responsible for a deadly bomb attack that brought India and Pakistan to the brink of war. And Barcelona thrashes Liverpool 3-0 in the first leg semi-final clash under the Champions League. Messi scores his 600th goal in club football. The non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and international non-governmental organizations, INGOs, that are run by the financial assistance from national and international donor agencies as well as government institutions have not met with the minimum criteria of good governance and transparency. More than 90% of the organizations in the country have not submitted their annual report or the audit report. Some of the INGOs were even found to have been handling big amounts of foreign aid without permission from the government. A total of 106,092 NGOs and INGOs have been registered in the country in the past 9 months. Out of those, only 18,700 or 17% of the organizations have renewed their licenses. This means 83% of the INGOs and NGOs are operating without their licenses being renewed. Likewise, only 6% have turned in their audit report, while around 2% have submitted their annual report to the government. According to the law, every NGO and INGO operating in the country has to renew its license and submit its audit report as well as its annual report at the Social Welfare Council and the District Administration Office. Based on the data, 264 INGOs are affiliated to the Social Welfare Council, out of which 98 from 23 countries have approved programs worth 21.07 billion rupees. Meanwhile, 166 INGOs have not submitted the necessary paperwork, and many INGOs have organized programs without approving the budget. For example, the INGO called AJWS America had spent more than 3.37 billion rupees under Nepal Disabled Women Association's name in the previous fiscal year without government approval. This clearly portrays how INGOs have been operating in the country. It is imperative for the Social Welfare Council to take active initiatives in order to bring these organizations under the rule of law. Industrialists and businesses have not helped the Social Security scheme put forth by the government for the best interest of the workers. Only 2,500 organizations have compiled with the program in 3 months' time provided by the government for the employers to register themselves. Of them, large organizations constitute a very small share of the pie. Saying the nation had stepped into a new era, the government had introduced the Social Security scheme amidst much fanfare 5 months back and had provided employers with the deadline of 29th of May to comply with the program. However, only 2,500 organizations with 4,815 employees have been registered so far. The total number of organized workers stands at 7,086,000 across the country. Such ignorance by the employing entities has been termed unethical by the associations of workers. According to the statistics of the Office of the Company Registrar, a total of 214,000 companies are registered in the country. However, with barely 1% of the companies registered at the Social Security scheme, this makes it evident the government's failure in ensuring the organization's compliance. Employers who had agreed with the government scheme during its declaration have now begun voicing for amendment in the law that would ensure the protection of the industries and businesses. The idea of Social Security was introduced to put an end to several issues faced by employees of the private organization, including the problem of funding their retirement, having worked for the organizations all their productive age. Organizations that were enthused and had supported the program during its declaration now reverting from it under various pretexts is not a good omen for the industrial environment in the country. Welcome back. The amendment bill of the Act of the National Human Rights Commission is currently under discussion at the Law, Justice and Human Rights Committee of the Parliament. At a time when criticisms are rife for many provisions shrinking the constitutional rights of the Commission, the ruling coalition has appeared firm in endorsing the bill at any cost. The National Human Rights Commission has already expressed its serious disagreement with the new provision based on which the directive of the Attorney General must be waited for while erasing the existing right of the Commission to direct the government to take actions against human rights violators and provide compensation to the victims. The Commission is of the opinion that the provision based on which a constitutional commission must depend on the decision of the Attorney General could not be accepted. Former chairman of the National Human Rights Commission have said that the government trying to restrict the right of the Commission to facilitate and recommend unbiased investigations is against international norms and practices. The Constitution had provisioned no intervention from the parliamentary committees in the operation of the Commission to keep it away from the influence of the executive and legislative mechanisms. However, the bill has raised questions regarding whether the government is not prepared to accept the concept. Some are of the opinion that the issue must not be made a topic for debate, as they say the chairman of the parliamentary committees and the Attorney General both are the officials who decide whether or not to proceed with the cases in favor of the government. If biased efforts are being made to weaken the Human Rights Commission, it may create a long-term impact on the democratic mechanism. Laws formulated and decisions made while running the government may come to hit the political entities back when they would be the opposition or protest from the streets in days ahead. Welcome back. Based on the Constitution, the relationship between the center, provinces and local levels should be based on coexistence and cooperation. However, as of recent, provincial and local level governments have been alleging the center of shrinking their rights. In this context, we had asked the stakeholders in Province 5 what should be done to strengthen the relationship between the three tiers of the government. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
संघले प्रदेशलाई नै के रे समन्वयकारी भूमिका समन्वय गर्नुपर्छ उहाँले अझै राम्रो प्रभावकारी बनाउनको लागि र प्रदेशले पनि स्थानीय तहलाई एकदमै कसरी प्रभावकारी बनाउने भन्ने विषयमा उहाँहरूले पनि त्यो रोल खेल्नुपर्छ।
संविधान जारी गर्दाखेरि सबै नेताहरू मिलेर संविधानमा गए सबै सहमति गरेर गए अहिले त्यो व्यवहारमा दिँदाखेरि संघले त्यसमा चाहिँ जानी आफ्नो कन्ट्रोलमा राखिराखेको छ।
स्थानीय तहले अगाडि काम बढाउन चाहन्छ र उले काम गरिरहेछ भने उ यो एउटा कानुनले गर्दाखेरि प्रदेश र स्थानीय तहको कानुनले गर्दाखेरि अलमलिन नपरोस् उले आफ्ना नियमावली बनाएर अगाडि बढ्न पाउनुपर्छ।
कसैले कसैको हस्तक्षेप गरेर जानु भन्दा समन्वय सहकार र सहअस्तित्वको साथ अगाडि बढ्दा राम्रो हुन्छ।
जनता चाहिँ स्थानीयसँग डाइरेक्ट टचमा भइरहेका छन् भने अधिकार पनि स्थानीयलाई सही अनुसार स्थानीय तहमा दिनुपर्छ।
केन्द्रले अरु संघलाई प्रदेशलाई र उलाई दिएको स्थानीय सरकारलाई दिएको अधिकारमा हस्तक्षेप नगर्ने अनि समन्वय भइहाल्छ।
स्थानीय र प्रदेशलाई कानुनबाट पनि बलियो बनाउनु पनि जरुरी छ।
संविधानले नै संवैधानिक इजलासको व्यवस्था गरेको कारणले गर्दा कुनै तहलाई त्यस्तो आफ्नो अधिकार खोसिएको भन्ने लाग्छ भने संवैधानिक रूपले नै उपचार गर्दा उपयुक्त हुन्छ।
And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question: why have non-governmental organizations not followed the law? Your options are A, weak monitoring mechanism, B, violating habit, and C, passive organizations. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And it's time now for the sports news. Lionel Messi's 2 second-half goals, including a stunning free kick, earned Barcelona a handsome advantage and left Liverpool with an almighty task in their Champions League semi-final. In the first leg semi-final played at Barcelona's home ground Nou Camp early this morning, Luis Suarez scored in the 26th minute to give Barcelona a 1-0 lead. In the second half, Lionel Messi scored twice, once in the 75th minute and the other one in the 82nd minute to seal Barcelona's emphatic 3-0 victory over Liverpool in the first leg semi-finals. Messi's first goal was instinctive as he followed up Suarez's shot that came off the bar, but the second was majestic as he found Alisson's top right corner from 25 yards out. Messi's second goal of the match was his 600th goal for the Spanish Giants. Manang Marchangdi Club and Minerva Punjab Football Club have settled for a 2-2 draw at the AFC Cup. In the match played at Kalanga Stadium in Bhubaneswar, India last night, Shreyas Gopalan gave Minerva Punjab an early lead by scoring in the 8th minute. In the second half, Abhishek Rizal came up with an equalizer for Manang in the 68th minute to level the match at 1-1. Omo Laja converted a penalty kick in the 86th minute to give Punjab a 2-1 lead. Odileje Somid scored for Manang Marchangdi in the dying minutes of the game to tie the match at 2-2. Manang have just 1 point from 3 matches played as they had lost their first 2 matches. And it's time now for our special segment, Glorious History.
May Day is a metonym for the International Workers' Day that has been celebrated since the 19th century. Up until late 19th century, it was common to work 10 to 16 hours a day in unsafe conditions, with deaths and injuries being an everyday story. The working class was in constant struggle to gain the standard 8-hour work a day. Around the 1860s, working people agitated to shorten the workday without a cut in pay, but it was not until 1880s that organized labor was able to garner enough strength to declare the 8-hour workday. On 1st of May in 1886, more than 300,000 workers in 13,000 businesses across the United States walked off their jobs. Eventually, the 1904 Sixth Conference of the Second International called on all Social Democratic Party organizations and trade unions of all countries to demonstrate energetically on the 1st of May for the legal establishment of the 8-hour day, for the class demands of the proletariat and for universal peace. In the year 1961, on 1st of May, the then Cuba's Prime Minister Fidel Castro proclaimed Cuba a socialist nation and abolished all kinds of elections. Hundreds of thousands of Cubans attending a May Day parade in the capital Havana roared with approval when Castro announced that the revolution had no time for elections and that there was no more democratic government in Latin America than the revolutionary government. Lastly, the popular DC Comics superhero character Batman made his first appearance in the pages of Detective Comics in May of 1939. Batman proved a hit character and received his own solo title in 1940 while continuing to star in Detective Comics. Batman and the company's other major hero, Superman, were the cornerstones of the company's success.
And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Thank you for watching. Have a good morning.